DK
Golfcast.
presented by Bones Brothers Media.
Wyndham Clark with the win at the BMW. He does have win in his name, don't forget. Patrick Cantlay getting a runner-up. Scary Gary Woodland, a rogue warrior paying dividends. A lot to be excited about as we enter the final weekend of the FedEx Cup. A lot to be sad about, I guess, also. The golf community suffered a tremendous loss over the weekend as Live Golf sank its final putt of the 2026 season in Indianapolis. John Rahm won the Outstanding Golfer Award for the third year in a row, but I got to tell you who the real MVP is Tyrrell Hatton. I don't know if you guys saw Tyrrell. We love Tyrrell on this show. Final walkout song is Queen's I Want to Break Free, sending a deliberate message to anybody that's willing to listen. And, you know, this is how you know Live Golf is history. No matter what they think the future holds, how can you let an employee or an independent contractor, whatever you want to call him, take a shot at your organization like that on his way out the door or not? I mean, he was still, let's just say, I don't know if he's going to be paid actually with the way things are going with Live, but let's assume that he's being paid by Live, for crying out loud. He's part of the attraction and he's just throwing shade at them. And, you know, when you put this has probably happened to some of you listening, when you put your 2 weeks notice in, or you've got like an expiring contract that is at an impasse, if you're in a corporate environment or if you're in like a professional environment, they usually tell you to hit the road that day you turn it in, or that moment they realize the contract is at an impasse, because that company can't afford you going rogue, especially if there's tension in the relationship, which there is with Hatton and Liv. They can't afford you going rogue in a position you no longer care about. Right? The cost of deciding to break protocol at the workplace with no consequence could cause, at times, perhaps irreparable damage to the company. Now, I'm not trying to be dramatic with Tyrrell here. I don't think he has caused irreparable damage to Liv. We have a laundry list of other things we could point to for that. But he took a clear shot at Live Golf and really the players and the leadership. And that's just one of the reasons you can tell Live is over in every sense. They have no leadership. At best, it's very weak leadership. And even though they have O'Neill out there, who's the mouthpiece, he's trying to say all the right things. He's trying to make nice. He clearly has zero influence over these players. Not one of them has come out and said, yeah, I'm really looking forward to next season. I'm really looking forward to trying to get out there and win the championship. Every Live golfer, when they have a microphone in their face, says, if it's around next year, yeah, maybe I'll play, right? So that's DeChambeau's out there threatening to become a YouTuber, for crying out loud, and they're running out of time. These guys on Live are probably going to have to make a decision about their future as immediately as after this weekend, and probably not far out into September or October. You've got to get this league funded, formed, and figure out that quickly. And then the players don't care about it either. If you've got a brand that you're trying to protect, if you're behind a mission that you believe in, and one of your buddies, one of your teammates, one of your competitors takes a vengeful shot at what you've been working towards, what you've been building towards, you might take that personally. Guess what? Nobody on Live Golf cared. Not one of them took it personally. We know most of these guys don't care about a lot of things, but they did not care about Tyrrell taking a personal shot at their brand and their livelihood. We're not even talking about the tournament. We have no idea who won the tournament. None of us saw a single shot. I did see a lukewarm trophy presentation and a lukewarm champagne celebration at the final event. But what we are talking about, and what I did see, is Tyrrell Hatton bitch slapping Live Golf on his way out the door. And then simultaneously, probably unintended, giving the middle finger to the guys who have nowhere to play next year and no foreseeable future in golf. This place sucks. Get me out of here. That was Terrell Hatton's message this weekend at what will be Liv's Golf's last event ever played. And it fits Terrell's personality. We love Terrell on this show. We're a big fan of his. Love his fire, love his emotion, his antics on the course. It compels us. He's fun to bet on. And he's really good at golf. The look this weekend, while it was clever and while it was humorous, it also said a lot about Terrell, that he's bitter. And it conveyed the unhappiness he has lived through with the choices he's made to go over to Live. But they are his choices. And another choice we can all choose is to give these Live golfers a second chance. I think that's what they need, honestly. Some of them are really, really good. Some of them are very polarizing figures. That's all good for the brand of golf. You know, the guys that were in the lawsuit, the guys that are in the twilight of their career, they may have something else. But the guys that were sold a bunk bill of goods from the outstart, although they were paid well, they were lied to. They were lied to by Phil Mickelson. Well, surprise, surprise, they were lied to by the Saudi government also. Who could have figured that one? So I say you have to give these Live guys a second chance. You have to give them a path. Because if you were a young guy with potential ahead of them and believed Phil Mickelson, one of the greatest golfers and one of the most influential golfers to ever put on a pair of cleats, if you believed him and bared the brunt of Phil Mickelson's personal vendetta against the PGA Tour, then I believe you need to be given a second chance. Look at Patrick Reed. We're all warming up to him. I think he deserves a second chance. He's been contrite, authentic in his return. Brooks Koepka, the same thing. We're not huge fans of Brooks on this season, but I know in our text message threads, we've been kind of cheering for him because of his attitude and his reflection on certain matters. Which brings me to the man of the hour, Wyndham Clark. I can't figure out the hate for Wyndham Clark. It has got to stop. He was public enemy number one again this weekend. And what has he done? Turned in one of the best seasons outside of Scheffler that we've seen in the last decade. PGA Tour Player of the Year talk going on right now. He's been contrite. He's acknowledged his behavior at Oakmont and other locations. And he's trying to win fans back. Oh, and keep in mind, he's an American. It's going to be a big part of the President's Cup, big part of the Ryder Cup in the future, big part of the Olympic team in the future. We all got to get over the Oakmont thing. We all got to get over the club toss, the mini tantrum after a bad shot. The good outweighs the bad with Wyndham. And I wish more of us would see that. Now, does he improve his lie through club selection and tamp down putts successively? I think there's some internet sleuths out there that have tried and perhaps made that case, but that's a conversation for another day. Maybe it's a conversation for today. Welcome into the program. My name is Edge. It is the Bones Brothers Golf Show. Wildman joining us from Florida. Any thoughts about Liv? Any thoughts about Wyndham as we get started here?
Yeah, I have several thoughts, actually. We've all been in the position to give our 2 weeks notice. It is different when you get the 2 weeks notice from the company. They're like, hey, it can be behind closed doors. Everything we promised you, BS. In fact, I just went through this personally, as you guys know. Worked on a contract for a year. The guy's out of business 30 days into it. I'm left holding my pants and an invoice for a lot of money. So I get it. I get why he did it. I kind of, look, you can say whatever you want about the money they received already and they chased the money or whatever. We all do that in life. But if you're sold a bill of goods, that does sting. I'll get this right out of the way real quick with DeChambeau. First thing across my feed was him, in a jumping jack. Yeah, like he had just won a tournament. What a great ride. We did so many good things. And I actually had to Google because I'm like, is Liv out of business? I couldn't even find the link. So I guess they're out of business and he's breaking the story. But of course, making it all about himself, as he never does. But yeah, I'll say this about Wyndham Clark, guys. Like, first and foremost, if you're a golf bro and you're out playing golf and you're drinking fireball shots and talking locker room talk and whatnot and not replacing your divots and pitch marks, and you're going to criticize a guy for breaking a locker one time. I mean, I've never heard him say a bad thing behind the camera into a microphone. And I will say this, as a cancer survivor, he lost his mother early to cancer in his 20s. That can have an effect on you too, with your emotions and your personality. And he plays for her all the time. He's a USA guy. I mean, if all we're holding against him is that he broke a locker, give me a break.
Bryson DeChambeau in a really tough position, as is Jon Rahm. But the other live guys, you know, give him a path. Bones DK joining us from his car outside of a hotel in Pittsburgh. How are you today, Bones? Any thoughts on what we just talked about?
Yeah, doing great. I'm in the car. Just excited for this week. As far as live golf, I haven't paid attention to it intentionally. I don't feel bad for any of these guys. I like Hatton, Bryson. I don't care. If they come back, it'd be great. You know, I would welcome these guys back into the PGA Tour. I'm not saying they're banned for life, but this whole poor me stuff about it, I just don't care about live. And I had no idea if it was still on or not because I didn't watch a single shot of it all year. So that's my take on live golf. And Wyndham Clark, you know, I'm a big Wyndham Clark fan. He's been playing great. He's an American. Not really sure why people hate him so much. He grounded the club. I saw that. You know, I do it every single time I shoot a golf ball. Can't really blame him for that. Again, he would have been, assessed a penalty if they thought he was cheating, and it was clearly on camera. There's no excuse that there's no cameras on him and stuff like that. So what he did was perfectly fine in my opinion, and I'm a big fan of Clark. So
I think it's a really interesting argument, and dare I say double standard, the way that DeChambeau was treated at the Open, though, and the way that Wyndham Clark has been treated, not just on this occasion, also this past week at the BMW. He has been accused in the past of tamping down lies on the green, and has also been accused of improving his lie with his feet and his clubs, with his club selection. So it's something interesting to watch, but again, something we can talk about another day. We want to talk about East Lake Country Club. Wildman?
Can I just give one more point? Because I don't want everybody to think I'm anti-DeChambeau and pro-Wyndham for the wrong reasons. If they would have penalized Wyndham Clark, come out there with rules officials and said, we can prove that your ball moved, I'd say penalize him. You know, this isn't about like one guy or the other, although my rhetoric might sound that way.
Well, you're just overall disposition, and everything that you've ever said on this podcast suggests that you hate DeChambeau and are just anti him whichever way. So that's the only reason we thought about that. Let's talk about the course preview, though. East Lake in Atlanta, the top 30 guys playing for the championship this week. The points no longer matter. Whoever wins this tournament is going to win the FedEx Cup. This is a long par 70 course, almost 7,500 yards. Water only in play on 8 holes. So the fellows getting a little break from the water. Bermuda grass greens, Joya fairways, sticky rough. Some of the tightest fairways on tour here this weekend. So strokes gained off the tee, strokes gained approach are the two biggest statistics you're probably looking at here in your build. But a couple other stats that are coming up on my optimizers are par 4 scoring and bogey avoidance. So talk a little bit about the course, talk a little bit about the build that we're going to want this week, Wildman.
Yeah, you pretty much nailed it with the course. I mean, there's not a ton of trouble to get into if you're not extremely wayward off the tee. So it really is going to come down, you know, like it usually does, especially in small fields, to whoever can get hot with the putter. But look, I mean, we're going to look for, like you said, it is long. So we definitely will give a nudge to the guys that hit a little bit longer. But I'm looking at this like the Tour Championship that it is, right, at East Lake. It's been here for 20 plus years consecutively. And, you know, you just don't really see many outliers contending for these titles, right? Like this is not a major, but this is bigger money than a major. And so, you know, you're going to see the cream rise to the top as it typically does. It is important to factor in this. You know, they've kind of been changing how the FedEx Cup champion is awarded over the last 5 or 6 or 7 years. This year, the regular season, if you will, through the BMW Championship last week, money has already been awarded. Scheffler has been paid the $23 million bonus for entering the Tour Championship as the leader. So this is just a separate PGA Tour 30-man field, small field with big money, $40 million purse, $10 million up for grabs, 2 first. Now, again, the guys that have earned it have already been paid. This is a 30-man. Everybody's starting at even par and playing for some big money. So we're going to tend to lean to the guys that we think maybe there's a price disparity from their price towards their talent.
We've got to be leaning towards win equity, though, this week also, Rob. We got to have a lineup that has the guy that actually wins this tournament. So if you look at the top 4 or 5 guys in the top 30, we got Scheffler at 14,000, way out in front. He's also got hand, foot, and mouth disease, which really doesn't seem like that big of a deal, but got to be uncomfortable. Rory McIlroy, who surprised, I think, everybody on this podcast last week by contending for that tournament right up until the end. Xander Schauffele, who has phenomenal history at this course at East Lake. Oberg, who has really been up and down, but you're expecting him to kind of break through, as you would be Burns. And then, of course, we got Wyndham Clark in there. So, I mean, geez, those are, it is the final event of the year. These are 6 of the best golfers we got cooking. Anybody in your core 4?
Yeah, the pricing is pretty crazy this week. I mean, it's juicy. The fact that you can fit in these guys in a 6-man lineup with some of these names this week is awesome. So I'm not going to play Scotty Scheffler this week simply because you have $7,200 left for 5 guys average. And, again, like Wildman says, the better players are going to show up here. So I'm not going to land on Scotty. I think there's a fair argument for Rory McIlroy. He can go out and win any tournament. And, again, he can still win this week. So I think he has some motivation there. But I'm going to stick with our guy. And like we said, course history. Xander Schauffele has been an animal at this place, and he's had a sneaky good year. I mean, you look at Xander Schauffele's history this season: a 9th at the Masters, 3rd at the Players, 7th at the PGA, 11th at the U.S. Open, all top 10s at the majors except the Open. He came in 18th, runner-up to 3 weeks ago as well. So this guy, I mean, fire him up to start your lineup, $10,000. We've been playing Xander lately. He's been paying off. I think people are actually not going to play him. I think he's going to come in at lower ownership, where I think that's an easy click for me this week. Xander Schauffele, 10,000.
Wildman, got to get your opinions on Oberg, who, like I said, has been up and down. Wyndham, though, I mean, boy, it seems like a good place to play Wyndham also at 9,400. And then Burns, who reminds me a lot of Oberg right now. They're just too up and down. Do you see anybody in here maybe getting on top of that leaderboard this week?
I'm sorry, I froze there for a little bit, so I don't know if Rob has said this already, but Oberg and Wyndham. Now Wyndham, what's not really to like about him right now? But look, he's been paid his big paycheck too. I think it was $13 million, in addition to what he won at the BMW last week. So the money's not necessarily the object for him. I might lean some guys over him at this course layout, just because he is a little erratic. And you kind of don't know what's going to show up. He's either going to win or he's going to, potentially get into trouble. Oberg hasn't shown it for me all year. And look, I mean, I've said this about Burns. I'll say it again. I just don't know that he's a closer. I can't really see it in his history of PGA Tour in general. And there's a couple of wins, but he just hasn't shown enough. I do want to mention this about Scheffler real quick. He has entered, this is the 5th straight year he's entered as the #1 FedEx Cup player. The previous 4 times he started at 10 under par. He's only won it once. He has never been the aggregate champion here. So he's never had the 72 low hole score, despite entering at 10 under par with a 10-shot lead over half the field, 4 straight seasons. So this is going to be hopefully not the coldest Antarctic take of all time. Ultra fade Scheffler this week.
I'll tell you what the juiciest price range is this one coming up right here, Bones DK. Fleetwood at 9, Cantlay at 89, Cam Young at 85, Morikawa at 81. Got her up at 7,900 this week. I mean, that is a bargain for our boy Gotterup. And then Fitzpatrick. We love this guy. Not Alex. We love Alex on here, but we're talking about the real deal, Fitzy. Matt Fitzpatrick here at 78. These are some juicy prices, Bones DK. Anybody in the core 4?
Yeah, you got to love it, right? I mean, this is just a balanced build week to me. I mean, you just have to do it. I mean, you're getting Patrick Cantlay, who's number 2 in the core four, $8,900. I mean, talk about par four scoring. He's number 2 in the ranked number 2 overall in par four scoring. There with Sam Burns as well, actually. But coming off a second place, 3 straight great finishes with a worst of 12th place. Also a former FedEx champion. I see him showing up this week, and I don't know if necessarily his win equity is up there, but it's almost a guarantee he's going to top 5 this tournament. So 8,900, I think Patrick Cantlay is my favorite play in the 8K range. And then you go down to Colin Morikawa. I mean, just sneaky Colin Morikawa. Insane history here. Great par four score. $8,100 is the cheapest I've ever seen him, actually, in my life. So, again, I know it's a weird week. It's only 30 guys, but coming off a 4th place, had a third of the Travelers this year. He started off insanely good this year, Colin Morikawa. I rostered him when he withdrew with that back injury, and it took him a little bit to get back into form. But he was arguably the best player in golf to start the season, and I think he's finally back right now. So Colin Morikawa, $8,100 is going to be my third guy in the core four, and not just to churn out all the core four guys right now, but they're in this range. You talk about win equity edge. Chris Gotterup, he has 3 wins this season. His only appearance here, he had a 10th place last year in his only appearance. So again, a top 10 out of Gotterup. I think this guy can actually win this tournament. Chris Gotterup at $7,900. So Colin Morikawa, Cantlay, Gotterup, Xander. I see him all in the top 10 and possibly in the top 5, all 4 of those guys. I'm serious. I mean, it just seems almost too easy this week with that core 4.
Gotterup's trend is good right now too. He's playing a good brand of golf. I cannot believe though you're not taking your boy Fitzpatrick in this one, Bones.
He let me down. He's been letting me down, man. I mean, the last 3 weeks he's been freaking terrible. I had to watch my language there, for a second. I made a lot of money on him when he was making that run, when he had a second, 22nd, 4th, and 3rd. He was doing great. I kept playing him. He missed the cut of the Open. I went back to him at FedEx. 12th place wasn't enough. 28th last week. I just don't know what's going on with them, but these guys are all playing better golf than Matt Fitzpatrick at this current time. So I do like him. $7,800, cheap price, but I don't see how I could pick him over those 4 other guys.
Cheapest I've ever seen Fitzpatrick there at 7,800. Of course, only 30 guys in the tournament this week. Fleetwood and Cam Young. Scare the hell out of me, Wild Man. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, Fleetwood's the defending champion, right? And I mean, he got it to 18 under last year for his lone win on U.S. soil. He was coming in wonderful form into last week where he kind of let everybody down. Cameron Young, it seems like he's got something going on with him. I'm going to say no to both guys. I kind of do agree with the core 4. I mean, guys, only 3 times in history has a player been the low 72-hole scorer. Or pardon me, there's only 3 players that have done it 3 times, that have, quote-unquote, won the trophy here. They are Tiger Woods, Rory McIlroy, and Xander Schauffele. That's pretty good company, right? So, yeah, I don't have much to say about the core 4. The rough will be a little tough. And if you see Gotterup, I mean, this guy looks like a bodybuilder out there. They always talk about Koepka being like an NFL player. Gotterup can't. Do you guys know he can't even Velcro his glove shut?
I noticed that. I did see that.
Velcro shut.
I have heard that he
he's
doesn't
just a
Velcro
huge
it
dude,
shut.
so-
I don't know if it's because he has huge hands or if it's just because that's the feel. But yeah, he is a professional athlete and he is in great shape. As we get down to the next tier, Siwoo Kim, Gecky, Danger Russ, Henley, Gerard, Hovland, Spawn. I think only a couple of these players have win equity here. I think you're only looking at Matsuyama, maybe Hovland. I mean, on the very, very outskirts of win equity, you got Henley, but I don't see Kim. I don't see Gerard. I don't see Spawn winning this thing. And because you're going for a balanced build, you don't have to worry about many of these guys down here, Bones DK. But if you were going to go with Rory or Scotty or get 10,000 guys in your lineup, who's somebody down here that you like in that range?
Well, the core 4 sets you up perfectly this week. Gives you $15,100 for your last 2 guys. So if you went down to Ryan Fox at 6K, that would actually land you right on Fitzpatrick or Cam Young there. So you can actually build a pretty sweet lineup if you wanted to take a risk on a cheap guy all the way down to 6K.
I think you'd be insane to take 6K on Ryan Fox this week. Where he is at right now at 30th place is where I anticipate Ryan Fox finishing this week. He's been playing poorly the last few weeks.
Yeah, I don't like many guys in the 6K range. I'm not. Maybe Woodland. He just seems like he's a. I mean, it's just hard not to root for Gary Woodland.
Sure.
He bombs it. He's very accurate off the tee as well. I'd say Gary Woodland, if I'm going down to the 6K range, would be my only play down there, to be honest with you. Tom Kim's pretty accurate off the tee as well. But I got to give a shout out to our boy, Danger Russ Henley. He fits this course build perfectly, hence his great history here. I think he's had 3 top 4s at this course. Number 2 in top 5 in par 4 scoring as well. Extremely accurate off the tee. He's been playing decent. He usually isn't a double bogey guy, but he's been having a lot of double bogeys, and he actually had like a triple or a quad 2 weeks ago as well. So I don't know what's going on with him with the bogeys. I usually don't see that out of him, but I think Russ Henley is probably my next best play down there. Coming off at 12th, had a 9th at the Open, a major. So I see him doing well, especially with course history that we're relying on a lot. And it is pretty interesting seeing Hovland at $7,300. That's a pretty low price for him. And I kind of disagree with your low win equity there. I think out of all these guys, he can just pull off a win randomly. And so, he already has a win this year. So, I think Vic Hovland has the best win equity in the 7K range. Hideki is tough not to click for me. He's a little erratic off the tee. And, I don't know what's going on with him. He's been playing awesome, though. So Hideki, Russ Henley, Vic Hovland are the guys I'm looking at in the 7K range.
Yeah, the only other thing about Henley, too, is he's had some really nice, like these courses have set up for Russ the last few weeks, and he really hasn't been delivering. He's been very consistent, but consistent right around 1 over, 1 under par throughout each round there. Wildman, we're going to get your Rogue Warrior here in a second. I do want to shout out to Bridgman. I think he's a pretty interesting play this week. He played real well last week. And all year long, he's been kind of hovering around that, top 15 area, even though he hasn't been winning and getting a lot of top 5s, a lot of top 10s. He's that first guy out of the top 10 almost all the time. And then Justin Rose. I mean, let us down in 1 round this past weekend, but we knew he was going to deliver on Sunday. Somebody very similar to Justin Rose this week is our Rogue Warrior. Who you got, Wildman?
Yeah, the Rogue Warrior, 6,500. Look, he's been here before. He's won at East Lake. When you look at his resume, he's won a major, the Masters. He's won the Tour Championship. He's won multiple playoff events. He's won multiple World Golf Championship events. There's really nothing to not like about him. And look, anywhere you go on the PGA Tour, one thing that's pretty much certain is the sky's blue, and this guy's played here 15 to 20 times. One of the elite ball strikers of all time. This course is going to be one of the easier putting courses as well. There's not a ton of crazy stuff you're going to get into on the greens. So if you can step up and make these 8, 10, 12, 15 footers, you're going to be in contention. And if he does that, he tends to do it on Sundays out of nowhere. I think he's a great play. Only 30 guys. Yeah, like top 6, top 8. Adam Scott, the big Aussie. Aussie, oi, oi, oi.
Another guy who's been playing consistent in that making a lot of bogeys, but following them up with birdies as well. Really doing a nice job staying in the round and making those comeback birdies. And he usually if he takes 1 step backwards, he usually gets about 1.5 steps forward on his next hole there. One other guy I got to shout out to. I cannot believe these 2 guys are still playing in the top 30. Raytan and Alex Fitzpatrick. If Fox doesn't finish in 30th place, it's going to be one of these 2 guys, though, right, Rob?
Yeah, I agree. I agree with that. I don't have anything to add on. Yeah.
I mean, I'll say this, we just talked about the Rogue Warrior. Like, if I'm telling you that this guy has played 75 competitive rounds at East Lake, and those 2 guys have played 0 combined, I mean, that's a big deal in the PGA Tour.
Yeah, course history is huge this week. Course history is huge. I mean,
you get multiple looks at a lot of experience with smaller fields, that whole thing.
Do we want to consider playing some of these guys in the lower range, like Smalley, like Woodland? Let's just even throw Raytan in there for the sake of argument, due to the ownership percentages this week, Bones DK, and how you are going to be able to really get 6 studs in there if you want to. If one of these guys in the bottom 20 can somehow sneak into the top 10, you're going to be picking up exponential points in your DraftKings contest with a low percentage. Are you thinking about that at all?
Yeah, you definitely want leverage this week, especially with only a 30-man field. So I do think there is, if you look at ownerships on Wednesday, try to find somebody low there that you kind of like. I'm assuming the guys I mentioned are probably going to be pretty high owned, but maybe not. I'm not playing Wyndham Clark. I'm not playing Burns. Fitzpatrick. These guys are going to get a lot of ownership. And I think our leverage, I'm dead serious, is going to be Xander Schauffele. I think people aren't going to have the stones to play him at 10K. Is just because he hasn't won this year, and I get that. But this guy is born to play on this course, and it's whatever his price is, I want to play him. So I think we're finding leverage there with Xander. But yeah, try to find someone down there at 5%, 4%. I think that's a pretty wise move this week, especially if you're in those high GPP contests, $25 contests with over 10,000 people in it. With over like 2,000 entries in that tournament you're playing, you're probably going to get a little leverage there with a random guy. But again, I'm playing in probably like the 150, the $200 single where, you're only getting 600, 500 guys that I'm not too worried about ownership this week.
You want to add anything to that, Wildman, before we get your prop drop?
Yeah, I think the other big leverage point this week is going to be leaving money on the table. Like if you get to a position where you've got, 8,500 on the table or something, your options are Morikawa or Hovland. One of them's going to leave 1,200 on the table. If you go down to Hovland, like those guys are probably minus 110, in a 72-hole format, no matter where they're playing. So, those are other things to think about. Like you don't have to spend all your money. And I think you're better off, trying to get those studs in there and leaving a little bit more money on the table, like proven guys. Like, guys, you're talking about Hovland, 7,300. He's won on the PGA Tour in the last couple of months. He's got an aggregate championship here. He's won the FedEx Cup in 2023, shot 18 under par here at East Lake. So, I mean, for 7,300, and you've got him around guys like Gerard and Smalley and Gary Woodland, no disrespect to those guys. Like one of these guys is unlike the other. You know what I mean?
You got a prop drop this week?
Hey, Edge, let me just jump in real quick and drop my prop drop because I got to go actually. But I'm guaranteeing the core 4 is going to finally hit on our 14 parlay all to top 10. And I'm telling you, it's my favorite bet. Pick the core 4 all to top 10. Maybe do a top 20, but the odds aren't going to be great there because it's only a 30-man field. So again, top 10, core 4, Goddard up, Xander, Morikawa, Cantlay, all will top 10 this week. That's what mic drop. It's a mic drop. Get ready, and one of those guys is going to win as well.
All right, fire it up, mic drop.
I like it.
All right. So I got to go, but thank you guys. I'm sorry to cut you off, but I just got to go. All right.
Yeah, it's all good, man. It's all good. We know you got to go back to your miserable, disgusting job. Go ahead and go enjoy.
All right, boys. Hey, good luck this week. Let's win it, huh? This is it. This is the championship. It's our last week. Let's bring home $50,000.
Let's do it. Wild man, you got a prop drop.
Yeah, I'm gonna just like double down on what I said earlier. I'm gonna take all the unders on Scheffler you can find this week. I don't think he's going to be motivated. He's already been paid. And quite frankly, like if you're looking at his course history and you're uninformed of how the format has been, he's got a 4th, 6th, 1st, 2nd, but he's been spotted 10 shots in all 4 of those tournaments. So, it really hasn't really come to fruition for him here, despite how well he's played and how good he is. So you can probably get some plus money on like every under. If you're betting him each round under 4.5, 5.5 birdies, whatever they're offering you, take a shot at that. Top Asian, I don't really love it. Top Englishman, I don't really love it. I would say that top European, continental European, you could get Hovland plus 180. And in some books, I'll take that.
All right, so we got Xander at 10K, Cantlay at 8.9, Morikawa at 8.1, Goddard up at 7.9. Unbelievable prices this week. That's our core 4. Adam Scott at 6.5 for our Rogue Warrior of the Week. We're going to take our prop drops. We're going to top 10 it. Boy, it would be fitting to hit it this week. The top 10 of our core four, a parlay to all finish in the top 10. We'll take Hovland as the top Euro. We'll take a bunch of unders on Scheffler. Any final thoughts before we sign off, Wild Man?
Yeah, top 10 parlay this week is kind of like a make the cut bet, you know? Like you should get a similar payout to that. There's only 30 guys, right? It's not that hard to finish in the top 10.
Yeah, and I'll tell you what, I mean, I like all of them. I mean, Cantlay has a great history here. So does Xander. Morikawa trended up last week. Gotterup's been playing well. I mean, hey, maybe we're on to something this week. Some other breaking news as we sign off. Dolly Parton, the queen of country, passed away at 80 years old today. Man, what a contributor. What a life from Dolly Parton. Not only was she entertaining, she was a incredible philanthropist as well. I'm sure there'll be several tributes and stuff like that to Dolly in the next couple days, but Mrs. Parton, dead at 80 years old. All right, the PGA Tour headed to East Lake in Atlanta, Georgia this week. It is the final event of the FedEx standings. Whoever wins this out of the 30-man field will be crowned the FedEx champion. For TW Man, Bones DK no longer with us. As always, thanks for listening. Until next time, my name is Edge, and good luck in Atlanta this week.